Hi, Dr. Joseph Martin here. Our topic now is Love Letter for Millennials, supporting their and your highest vision. So, we would say that the millennial generation is anyone presently between the ages of, say, 15 years and 35 years. This is a global consciousness now, far more than the previous generation before them, which would be Generation X, those in their 40s and 50s, and the boomer generation, the baby boomers, which would be in their late 50s and 60s and upwards. So, what is the need for the millennials right now? Well, it's a bit of a challenging thing. Many of them are feeling very kind of split. We almost have two different kinds of groups of millennials here in Canada and worldwide. I'm writing a book for millennial generation right now. Did a lot of research and listened to them, and I have a lot of friends who are in that age cadre and grade. And what we can see is that, on one hand, say on the more challenging side, that there's a lot more worry and depression and anxiety around their status in the world and what is going on in the world in terms of war and economy and possible hopeful futures for themselves. There's a lot more bullying and a lot more violence and perhaps a lot more cruelty that they're going through in their own upbringings in terms of their family life, and maybe some of them don't have the kind of love and support or interest from their parents, relatives, and friends that other generations, the older generations, had. A lot more bullying at school, for certain, in public schools and high schools. There's a lot more competition to get into university and college, and in fact, it's more expensive for them. Even if they do get the funds or garner the funds to go to a higher education, they're not assured jobs like the previous generations were. They may have a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and still not be able to find the kind of job that they've trained themselves for in their positive, hopeful career. In fact, we know for certain statistically that many of them will, in fact, have massive student debts, which will take them until maybe their 50s or even retirement to pay off. So they may not even be able to afford their own home. So, along with all that anxiety and worry and depression and, in a sense, meaningless hopelessness and search for work and career and job, on the other hand, this is a generation that's got a brand new global consciousness that is worldwide. They're more hopeful, they're more positive, they're less prejudicial, less racist, and in fact, they are more open minded in terms of global consciousness. They're on a spiritual path, really seeking. A lot of them are old souls and they've come back for service and sacrifice, even. And they're aware that they're much more team players than the boomers or the Generation X. They are much more giving back and do a lot more charity locally and globally, building schools and libraries on all continents of the world, but particularly, say, in Africa and Central and South America. So there's more of a sense of honorability and respect for all their sisters and brothers around the world. So, what is the challenge for these individuals? Well, on a physical level, hopefully they have enough physical food and support and family and support in terms of schooling and at a lower level of age. And they'll be able to support some families should they choose to get married or have significant others and adopt. However, it may be the fact that many of them, in fact, are living at home with their parents only for pure economic and financial reasons. So there's that issue as well. On the emotional level and the psychological level, it's clear that many of them have delayed maturation. Many of them are being called permanent adolescents, so that even at the age of 25, 28, they're still acting like 15 and 18-year-olds emotionally, and they haven't been able to grow up. And I think a lot of it is the fear and anxiety about what is going to be there for them in this world. Unlike previous generations, they will not have the material resources and lifestyle of the white picket fence in the home, in the garden, and so on, that their parents have, or their older siblings. And so, even though they are very materialistically oriented, they may not have all the things that they might want that they can see that their parents have. This disturbs them greatly. So there's an emotional challenge there, certainly around finances and schooling and paying off debts. On a mental level as well, emotionally, they're confused often about morals and ethics. They see cruelty in their parental generations, in their communities, a lot of greed, selfishness, criminality in different levels of civic government and provincial government, certainly national governments around the world. So they're questioning the whole issue of justice, social justice, morality, and they're not sure what this means for them. In terms of sexuality, human sexuality, they're experimenting obviously in a much more open way without all the guilt that was labored on previous older generations from the Catholic Church and other churches. So they have more openness about sexual orientation and sexual experimentation. However, they're a little challenged as to know where to take that all. And there is a lot of mental confusion as well about what their identities, where they're going to be, how to place themselves in the world. And so that's quite a challenge as well. Perhaps one of the most interesting and intriguing aspects that we see around the world is that they're more spiritually open, much more spiritually aware and awake, and wanting to learn to meditate and do yoga and do spiritual exploration and enlightenment. So this is quite different than the previous generations in a way. We haven't seen this for about 50 or 60 years. Putting this all together, we would say that there's a lot of challenges spiritually, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and physically, and in terms of the material wealth that they'll be able to procure with all the changes in the world economy and so on. And they sense this and they're not sure what to do with it, but they do like to give back in great ways. This is a call to basic consciousness for you millennials listening to come to find your soul identity, complete some deep spiritual, psychological inner work. Come together as teams and circles as you want to do more than previous generations, and we're co-create a new visionary leadership on the planet. At the same time, this is a basic call to consciousness for all the older generations, those of you from 35 up to the centenarians. What do these millennials need from us? Well, what they need is they need support. They need love. They need coaching and mentoring. They need listening. They need understanding. They need to know that we're there to support them in every way that we can, that we are their elders and our lives are now devoted for service and sacrifice for these young visionary leaders of our global future. They need to feel connected. They need to feel that they can co-participate. They don't want to just be consumers like some of our generations where they want to be giving back. They want satisfaction and personal happiness by participating in society, even though most of them have no interest in the political democratic process, and hopefully some of them will gain that as they find out more who they are and what they can offer to this world. What else do they need? They need, besides love and support, they need nurturing. They need participation with older groups of people. They need mentoring in terms of business skills. Much of them will be innovators in the business world and entrepreneurs. I think that's the only way, because they will not be able to find the jobs that were so available for the college and university graduates of the 1970s and the 1980s. They're going to have to make their own way. They're going to have to be supported by older generations to give them the feeling of self-worth and self-confidence, that we have the respect and the kindness towards them so that they can step out, take some risks. They're going to have to be risk takers in terms of their personal world. They love adventure. They love world travel, so we can support them in that. The great adventure will be a tribe, which is what they want and need, a tribe together that will be spiritual adventurers of the open heart and business entrepreneurs worldwide in new co-creative global businesses that are self-sustainable for humanity, for the natural resources for the world, for all our relations and all the animals and the Earth Mother herself. This is what they want to be, and they need all our help because they have lots of barriers and hurdles that they need to dissolve and move through or jump over in order to be able to attain this in this very chaotic time in our planet. So to all of you millennials, good luck and good hope. You're my favorite people in a way, if I can say that. I have most of my friends, 80% of you are under the age of 32 or 35, and I support you, I care for you, I love you, And to all those in the older generations, I say, let's do our very best to give support and kindness and respect, time, listening and mentoring and coaching for these young millennials of all ages and backgrounds and orientations. So let's do this together, co-creatively. Dr. Joseph Martin, and I will see you again soon. And my book on millennials will be out within the next little while. All love and blessings.